So for one thing, so myself personally, I was affected during the pandemic, as I think many people were, that you had the eviction moratoriums where you could not get rid of tenants no matter how bad they were. So I was personally affected by that myself with a couple of my properties I had in Arkansas, where I had two tenants that pretty much went a full year without paying, and that was not a fun experience. And then I had to, of course, fix up the unit after they did finally get kicked out. But so in this space, obviously, we don't have to deal with that. That's one thing.
Welcome to the Healthy Investor Podcast with Bob Mastroianni, where you and I will learn from successful real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and other highly driven individuals about their journey and the healthy habits and routines that play an integral part of their growth. All right, welcome back to the Healthy Investor Podcast. I'm your host, Bob Mastroianni. Today I have with me Don Spafford. Don has an educational and professional background in finance and securities investing. He's held several management and leadership positions in corporate finance, as well as various other volunteer services positions. Originally grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, and now lives in Idaho Falls, Idaho. He bought his first property, a fourplex, in 2017, and then he began to scale into commercial real estate, including ground-up development projects, and joined Happy Camper Capital in 2021, where his team focuses on syndicating RV resorts. He enjoys it and really enjoys providing great returns for his investors. He's also a partner with a build-to-rent multifamily group developing 600-plus unit apartment communities. So, Don, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Bob. My pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so great. So I want to get into, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your story, but first, maybe tell us a little bit about what brought you, how you wound up with Happy Camper Capital. And I really want to dive deep into your investing into RV resorts and sort of what that looks like, what makes that different from multifamily investing and those sort of things.
I'll try to, I guess, give as much of a brief rundown as I can of that in the next couple minutes. But so my background, as you mentioned, I was in finance and investment science. I was planning to go into that realm of being a financial advisor, portfolio manager. Something to do more with stocks. And then when of course the 2008 2009 market crash took place and all these big corporations were now going out of business and laying people off, I realized that it was not as maybe as stable of a career as I was thinking it was. So I actually went back to school and got an accounting degree to instead pursue a CPA to do that instead. But I just found it difficult to find the time to study enough for those tests with a family with young kids at home. It just made it too hard for me to sacrifice that time. So I just kind of put my head down in the sand and just kind of kept pushing forward. Just, happy that I had a job at the time, and we'll just hope that at the time something would work out. And not too long after that, my wife actually became a realtor, and that's kind of what really got us looking into real estate, because it's something I'd never even considered before. I guess I always thought it, as I think most people do, is it's like the rich man's playground. You have to be wealthy to invest in real estate. So after some of her first clients were investors and buying properties, it kind of made me realize that maybe that's not the case. So I started reading books and learning about how to invest in real estate, and then through all those chain of events, I guess it led to the point where we moved from Omaha to Idaho, and then shortly after bought that first property. But I understood that real estate was the best way to create wealth and long-term income, even more so than stocks or anything else that I could at least get my hands on. So so I definitely wanted to go full force as much as I could into real estate, and I knew that it's a numbers game, really. It's the more doors or more units, whatever makes the difference. So that's why I started with the fourplex. I wanted to get the highest number of units I could at the time. I was not probably ready to get into a commercial property or have a commercial loan, but so I took the highest residential loan I could get, which was the fourplex, and so it worked out well. And my plan initially was to keep buying fourplexes. I bought a couple more shortly after that first one, and but after I guess those had three of them, I was like, what, I'm probably gonna these aren't going to scale as fast as I thought it was going to get to the number I was trying to reach. I gave myself a 5-year goal to be able to at least have the option to quit my job And at this time now we're looking in 2018, 2019. There was a lot more competition in the markets. People were, it was almost impossible to get a deal. That's something that I see. It looks like a great deal, the numbers wise, but by the time I make an offer on it, I'm getting outbid by tens of thousands, well over my highest limit I would go to. So that's kind of where I started, I guess, researching more, or looking in how to get into commercial real estate. And just some opportunities came up that I was not necessarily pursuing, but when they were offered to me, I saw it as an opportunity to not pass up. And so I got into a land flip deal first, then a development project, and then a bigger development project. And so I kind of got involved with this team, as you mentioned, that does ground up development of multifamily. So I got involved with that team in early 2021, and was saw that again as a great opportunity. But something that only takes place every a few years or something. It's not like we're doing multiple development projects every year. So so along the way, I was still trying to look into other multifamily, like value add syndications, as most people do, and most people are probably familiar with. And so I was trying to my main goal was I was trying to find a property. I wanted to find one that I could take to another syndication group and try to do it together. But for me personally, I was not finding anything that met my strict criteria for the kind of returns I was looking for. I did not want mediocre or average or below average returns, especially if I'm asking other people to invest in it. So I kind of more or less gave up on that and said, well, maybe I'll just invest in somebody else's deal. I know that there's plenty of deals that are going around. There's got to be something that's drawing people to invest in them. So I started looking at other syndications that were available, and nothing again stood out to me. The returns for me were just not good enough. And I'm sure they meet somebody's criteria. Obviously, some people are investing in them, but they didn't match my criteria of what I was willing to do. And so I was just kind of patiently waiting, almost to my breaking point where I was about to say, know what? There's nothing else out there. I might as well just invest in something to put my money to work somewhere. And just to give some background on this, I didn't have a whole lot of capital to invest. I wasn't investing hundreds of thousands of dollars or anything like that. So the limited funds I had, I needed to make sure I get the most return I could from it, to really be worth my time to put into it. So anyway, so during this whole time, I always listened to podcasts. I was listening to podcasts like every day. I don't know, at least probably half a dozen per day. So one day I heard, this was probably, I'd say, summer of 2021, maybe June, July, somewhere there. I heard on a podcast somebody else talk about campgrounds as an investment option. And like you mentioned early on, it was something that I had never heard of before or considered as an investment option. It's not, so kind of, I guess, caught me off guard a bit, and it intrigued me somewhat in the sense that, so where I live here in Idaho, we're like about an hour and a half or so from Yellowstone Park, and a lot of people here go camping and do all these outdoor activities, and most people have campers, RVs sitting in their driveways. So I saw this as might be a unique opportunity to get, at least to take advantage of where I'm located. I was like, hey, I could, nothing else, be a boots on the ground for someone that wants to come by in this area. I could take, go there, take videos and watch over it, be an asset manager, what do they need? And my wife could help with the purchase. And so that was my initial intention when I discovered that. And I started going to these other webinars and meetup events with people that are in that space, just a network, and pretty much make that offer, put myself out there. Hey, I'm here, Southeast Idaho, Northern Utah. If you want to buy, I can go check it out for you. And in doing that, making those contacts, I met a couple guys who had just closed on their first property and were looking to grow their team and to do more. And that's kind of where I more or less joined up with Happy Camper Capital. We discussed, my goals and their goals, and their vision of future, where they're looking to go with this company. And they offered me the opportunity to join with them. And so I decided to jump on that opportunity. For me, it was a bit of a decision, because I was involved with a couple of multifamily mastermind groups. And since this was not multifamily, I was, I guess, a bit fearful of how people would react to this, if they're going to, kick me out of the groups, or look at me as a flip flopper or something, But me personally, I decided, I saw where this niche was headed. The returns that these types of properties can offer. First of all, I was already decided, no matter what, I'm going to invest in these campgrounds. But for me, the opportunity to join a team doing it, I saw it as like, 3 years from now, am I going to look back and regret not taking that chance? So I decided to, I'm not in this for other people to please them or make them happy that I'm in multifamily or something. So, I decided, what, I'm going to do this for me because this is for me and my family. If this works out, awesome. If it doesn't, at least I tried it and I won't regret not trying it. So that was pretty much my deciding factor at the time to go for it. And honestly, I'm so happy I did it. I've I look back and I've only been in now for a little over a year, but I've had tremendous growth and opportunities that I would not have had otherwise. So I'm definitely grateful that I decided to take that chance.
Wow. Such an incredible story. It's so interesting to me. You and I are connected. We've connected in a couple different groups. I think we were in a couple meetups together virtually, and we're connected on the socials, right? And I think before coming into contact with you or interacting with you, I don't know that I had heard of anyone investing in RV resorts, and I don't know that I'd ever even considered that as an investment option. Since then, I've actually met someone else who also has one RV resort, I think. And so now so again, the intrigue goes up a little bit
Yeah.
more. So a couple things that you said there that were pretty interesting to me. First is that, I know the position you're in when you say, I was focused on looking for multifamily. I was focused on this specific niche that I was going for. And then a new opportunity came up, and I can understand how that, those little voices in your head started to say, well, everybody's going to think, shiny object syndrome or something
Exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it really is a very interesting niche that you found. I actually have relatives who live in Boise, Idaho. I've never been there. However, we've had conversations about, people taking their RVs and going to Yellowstone. And so I didn't even realize that that's actually where you were close to before we had this.
Yeah.
That sort of clicked to me right away. I'm like, oh yeah, it absolutely makes sense. But it is unique to our group. I feel like our sphere of influence, it's fairly unique as far as those investors are concerned. I love your motto, invest where you play. And so maybe we could talk a little bit about, so for RV resorts, I assume you're speaking specifically about the type of resorts where people are renting space for a small amount of time, short-term rental type spaces, correct? And then you provide obviously the land, and you provide certain sort of amenities, and then also probably some activity space and all that. So what are some of the things that you, as the owner or as the company that's sort of managing the opportunity? Well, I guess it's sort of a twofold question. I talked myself right into that, right? Do you manage them also?
Right. So yeah. So first, to answer your previous question, yes, these campgrounds that we purchase are not. So there's a distinction between people say RV parks that are very similar to like a mobile home park. Those are not what we buy. We do buy the more like the vacation resort. Very much more similar to like a short-term rental at a multifamily scale. So people come here to have fun, spend money, and then they go home. And so yes, we actually have our own management company that we formed specifically to manage our properties, but now we also do manage other third-party campgrounds as well for those that need it. We definitely saw there was a demand and a need. People were asking for it, so we opened it up to manage other third-party campgrounds as well. So yeah, our management company called Beyonder Camp oversees all of our campground management with the systems processes, online reservation systems, hiring, training, all those things that oversee the campgrounds themselves. But of course, on each site, we have to have a campground site manager and the staff on hand to handle all the activities and the guest needs and all that. So it is very staff heavy as compared to like say multifamily, just hire a property manager, right? So there's a lot to oversee on that property.
Yeah. So I assume, similar to maybe similar to short-term rental, you look at different occupancy rates depending on season. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I guess so. So we do purchase across the country. There are other groups in this space I know of that only stick with like say the South or Southeast or areas like that where they have like more like year-round camping options. We are more open to anywhere that makes sense. The number of stuff to work out. So there are some, like I said, northern states that get a lot of cold winters and things that maybe do shut down during the winter months. We find options or opportunities to still create income during that off season. But the way we look at it is like, if at least me personally, and I think most people feel the same, is that if I have a property that's giving me say a 15 or 20% cash on cash return per year, I'm not opposed if I'm getting most of that in, say, 6 months out of the year. So that there are people that like to see more stability throughout the year, and that's fine too. We do have that option through our fund. It's a 506C fund for credit investors that is going to be used to purchase multiple properties in different geographical locations to kind of, for that purpose, to help stabilize the cash flow throughout the year. But yeah, we operate in cold states, warm states, just anywhere. It doesn't really matter, as long as it's a great property and great location, and great options for us to do value add on these properties. So we're not just buying turnkey, campgrounds. We're buying value add, where we can, in most cases, expand and add on more spaces or add on additional amenities, increase the rent for the spaces, and different things, just to improve the property and bring more people to come and keep them filled.
So from an investment standpoint, and I assume you're bringing on investors, to assist with capital for these purchases. Maybe we could talk a little bit about, what do you see as some of the advantages of this space versus maybe multifamily space?
Yeah, there's several, I guess, depending on what your needs are or what is important to you. But so for one thing, so myself personally, I was affected during the pandemic, as I think many people were, that you had the eviction moratoriums where you could not get rid of tenants no matter how bad they were. So I was personally affected by that myself with a couple of my properties I had in Arkansas, where I had two tenants that pretty much went a full year without paying, and that was not a fun experience. And then I had to, of course, fix up the unit after they did finally get kicked out. But so in this space, obviously, we don't have to deal with that. That's one thing. We don't have any real leases or long-term tenants. So they prepay to come and stay at the spot, and then I guess if they don't leave when they're supposed to leave, we just call the police and have them escorted off for trespassing. It's much more simple process. No leases or contracts involved, really. So that is much, on the one side, much better. There are people that maybe are looking for these for the income, right? These properties produce very high cash flows, as opposed to at least most multifamily or other commercial real estate deals that I'm aware of. I've seen many of different asset classes and whatnot, but I'd say on our average deals, what we target for a property, for us to even consider it to look at, we want to make sure there's at least the potential of an average of at least about a 15% cash on cash. That's per year. And so with us, you're getting very high cash flow upfront, and in addition to the high equity multiple as well. As compared to other things that are out there, including the cash flow and the equity, we're looking between about a 2.5 to 3x multiple on our average deal. And so the returns are much higher as compared to other things. Another benefit is, in most cases, I'll put this by saying, first, I'm not a tax expert or a CPA attorney, but there is the potential to have higher tax deductions, like through cost segregation, than through multifamily or other commercial real estate as well. I just won't say numbers, but I've seen some numbers that are like insanely high that you wouldn't even think is possible. But I've seen very high returns tax deductions because of the campground deductions that we can provide. So there's that option for those that need the higher tax deductions. Man, on top of that, I guess the great thing about it is like you said, the invest where you play is, or if you want to flip that, play where you invest. We offer that opportunity for our investors to come actually stay at our campgrounds, hang out there, have fun, enjoy it, get a feel for it, and especially those that have maybe never been camping before at a campground specifically like this. It gives them that opportunity to go there and see firsthand what this is. I think most people that have been to one of these types of campgrounds, they understand it, and they're the ones that come and say, oh yeah, I've went to one. It was amazing. It was like a cash cow. I could see it right there. So we actually, for our investors, we offer them the opportunity to stay at our campgrounds for up to 1 week free stay per year, and discounts throughout the rest of the year beyond that. So we incentivize our investors to go there and enjoy it. It's something you're probably not doing at a multifamily or self storage or something. So that's a very unique thing to do in this space.
Wow, I really like that. Interestingly enough, and my mind is going, and I was thinking about this even before we jumped on today, but I do remember sort of beginning, first few months into the pandemic. I mean, purchasing an RV at some point, about 2 months into the pandemic, was almost impossible, right? I mean, they had sold out of RVs sort of nationwide, and I guess here we are, about 2 years removed from that. That says to me that there are a lot of RV owners. There's probably a significantly higher number of RV owners now than there were, 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago, right? So that increases your customer base, and I think that I do hear of more and more people deciding, to go out and see the country and to, go different places and sort of do it on your own. This has been really educational for me because, again, as I mentioned, I think that many of the people that I speak with about real estate investing don't consider this as a source, and it's very enlightening to me.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and definitely, I do myself personally. I have a diversified portfolio, and I do advise others to have the same. If you're strictly only in multifamily, I mean, that's good, I guess, if that's all you really care about. But there are things that could happen, like eviction moratoriums or other uh, government regulations, things that could take place that may affect that. Or rent. Rent regulations, whatnot. So
Mhm.
I like to be diversified and have kind of, I guess we'll say, offsetting asset classes or whatever if something happens to one, it shouldn't happen to the other, and have that protection in there. But so to your point about the pandemic, though, yes, there was a huge push, obviously from people that were wanting to get out. They couldn't vacation other places, so like, hey, let's go camping, go RVing, the staycations or something. So that was definitely a big factor, as well as just people now have the option to work from home. So if you could work remotely from anywhere, the people that I guess have the option, if they don't have a big family or something, could now work from home someplace new every week or month or however often they wanted to do that. So the largest new purchasers of RVs in the last few years, each year in a row, pretty much has all been the younger, like Generation Z, X, and millennials. They've been the biggest purchasers of new campers, and the new biggest percentage of new campground goers in that group as well. So that's been a big reason for a lot of the amenities and attractions we are putting into our campgrounds, is to attract those younger groups that are looking for the fun things to do and good strong Wi-Fi to work from home, and those kind of things that you typically didn't have in campgrounds before, where people just went to go to relax and not do much else. So and on top of that, I'd ask that something that gets asked a lot is what happens if this recession comes and takes place this year or next year or whatever, and people are concerned about that and affects maybe their investing strategies or whatnot. We've had several people, I've heard from many groups lately, they've been having difficulty raising capital because of that, thinking that prices are going to come down on properties and things like that. Well, we're in a little bit different space because of that. So first of all of our deals, or say most of our deals, we are sourcing off market. So we're going direct to the campground owners and working out a deal, which already gives us a great price, well below market value. Typically, we're buying around a 10 cap currently,
Mm.
and then on top of that, so with the recession, though, the way I look at it, there's two sides of things. You got the we'll say the higher income earners that can afford these types of luxuries. Because honestly, an RV or especially a Class A motorhome, those are luxury items. These are not just adding another Toyota Corolla to the driveway. This is a toy. So and in often cases 100,000 and up, and so people have that kind of disposable income to spend on a toy. Um, Typically are not going to be as affected by things that are going on in the economy. They'll still use them and go out and enjoy it. And then the other side, get the people that maybe are a bit more income strapped, but still have an RV, or even in most cases just want to get out and go have fun. Our campgrounds have cabins and other glamping options, or even just dry tent camping spaces as well, for like say Boy Scouts, other groups that come out. So get those people that maybe are affected by the recession, but are making a decision on where they're going to go. Because people still want to have a vacation, they still want to go out and do things, but maybe instead of spending thousands of dollars or tens of thousands to go to Disney World or something, they'll say, what, let's stay here nearby, go have fun, go play in the lake, go boating, do some fishing or whatever it may be, go to a concert event at this campground nearby. and then come back home. And so they're spending a lot less money and traveling a lot less distance. And that, which is also a big factor of where we purchase. We buy properties that are typically within about a 2-hour drive of a major city.
Mm.
That way we're nearby to that pretty much built-in user base of guests that want to get out and have fun, even if they go out just for a day and come home. They're still accessing it and using it and spending money there.
So you mentioned Wi-Fi, and I was gonna transition into that a little
Yeah.
bit. So what are some amenities? You talked about value add when you
Hmm.
purchase an RV resort. What are some of the things that now we're in the beginning of 2023, right now in the beginning of 2023? What are some of the value adds that maybe you're purchasing from a mom and pop owner who owned it
Hmm.
for 30, 40 years or something like that. So what does that look like? I know when we think of multifamily property, we may be talking about, updated kitchens and countertops and bathrooms and those sort of things.
Right.
But obviously you're looking at different sort of value adds. So what does that look like? What are some of those items?
Yes, for sure. And there's definitely a big category of these, that we have some that are just simple, easy things to do, and then the ones that are, big expenses. On most cases, we're looking for properties that have room to expand. So that's gonna be our big ticket things. We're
Mm.
gonna build out more campsites, more glamping options, put in some tiny homes for like, cabins and things. So that's a big part of it is that. Those right there are just going to build in additional income streams as that property grows and brings in more people. Some of the simple things, though, like you said, these are mostly mom and pop owned. They've been their family maybe for generations, and so for the most part, they live on site and they like to keep things simple. So they do, phone call reservations only, keep the same price every day of the week, and don't, in most cases, don't have the resources to go and spend and build out some great I don't know, concert venue or something. So just in that case, when they have those simplified things like, say phone call reservations, they may not even have a very good website if they have one at all. People cannot find them online. So pretty much only people that are coming there are people that know it's there to begin with.
Mm.
So just putting in our systems and our platform, give them an online presence with online reservations, because these days, again, the younger generation crowd that are going to these campgrounds are typically not the ones that want to make a phone call to make reservations. If they can't do it online, they'll go to the next one that can. So just doing those simple implementations of that is going to increase the revenue of the property, typically by at least 5%, just from the online part of it. And then again, from there, a lot of it depends on the location and what's there already. We like ones that have water features. If it's on a lake or a river, that's great. If there's not a dock, we potentially could put a dock on there to have boat access and things. Again, the big thing is just having Wi-Fi.
Mm.
A lot of these places don't have Wi-Fi. You're disconnected from everything. So for people that do need to work from home or want to have let their kids stream movies while they're working or something. They need that Wi-Fi access. So that's a big thing to implement that. Many of the upgrades that we do, may not necessarily be a direct, income stream source, but will at least attract more people to come there. There's currently more now electric vehicles coming on the road, more electric trucks and even electric RVs. So as we do our upgrades to the electrical connections on each pad site, we are upgrading them to the point where they can connect to an electric vehicle, whether they're using them now or not. They have that option that is there to attract those that do have them. Will say, "Oh, I'm going to go to this one because it's got those connections."
Mm.
So we're kind of just being prepared for what's coming, in the next 5 or 10 years as more vehicles become electric and are going camping too. But then from there, it's just the great thing is compared to say multifamily is there's almost unlimited upside potential. With like I said, with the multifamily, you're going to upgrade maybe the kitchens, replace the floorings and paint, but there's not really a whole lot more that you can really do to push beyond the market rents. So if the market rents are $1,000, even if you go plate a toilet, you're not going to rent it for 5,000 a month. Nobody's going to pay
Mm.
it. So uh, with the campgrounds, it's not just doing those simple things and nothing else. There's almost whatever you can think of to do to add on something, you can bring on additional income. Again, if there's a lake or something or a pond even just on the property, just get a couple of paddle boards and people rent to pay to use the paddle boards. We have uh, essentially boats that we can get, and not we prefer not to actually purchase them. We'll just lease the boats from somebody else so they maintain them and replace them. And people are renting to use these boats to go skiing or fishing. So in some cases, again, we put on there's a couple properties we put in a amphitheater for concert events. So we'll bring in these bands to come play during summer or weekend concert events or something, and again, it's not something that's a direct source of new higher rents or something, but it's going to attract people to come here that want to come and stay for that weekend, that event. And again, if even if they're not camping, they'll come out just for the concert, and while they're there, they'll maybe go rent a boat or spend money at the restaurant or bar or whatever, and drive up more revenue during that event anyway. So yeah, there's this, I say on an average property, there's probably at least 10 different income streams that is there or could be there, in potentially even more. So it's just there's great opportunities to just add on more and do more. You again, ask what people are looking for, and people are in. There's been a report recently that people are actually, or I say RVers are looking for more winter activities that they can do, places they can go with their RV during winter. So again, a lot of these mom and pops close it down just because it's too inconvenient to keep it open during winter. But if we can find ways to still attract people to come there, if there's skiing, snowmobiling, or ice fishing, or something nearby that will still get them to come out there, then we'll find a way to make that happen. Or at the very least, we charge for RV or boat storage in the off season, and that still brings in revenue in the off season. So yeah, it's just incredible the options that are there to create new income streams that didn't exist previously.
Wow. So this has been very eye-opening for me, and you can probably see the look on my face, and very, very interesting. And I really appreciate you sort of bringing that to me and to those who listen. So very cool.
Sure.
I'd like to transition over. So this is the Healthy Investor Podcast, and the more I talk to successful entrepreneurs, investors, and all, they often have some sort of habits or routines that they feel contribute to their personal life and then also business life. So what does that look like for you?
Well, I'd say depends on what you consider healthy habits, I guess. So I've actually kind of let my physical health go in the last few years, which I've now. I those that didn't know, I guess I did just recently leave my W-2 job at the end of 2022. So now I'm free of that job through real estate investing. So I did meet that 5-year goal that I set when I bought that first property. But
Congratulations.
So thanks. Yeah. So my focus now is to get back into caring more for my physical health. I did actually just buy an elliptical machine as well to help with that. And I do recognize that I'm now older than I once was, so my body's not quite able to do what I used to do about 10, 15 years ago when I was in great shape. But yeah, so I'm going to be doing a lot more. I've blocked off time on my calendar, say this is time for exercise and nothing else. No calls, no interviews or whatever. So I'm doing that. But I think that overall, what's been probably best for my physical health, which I think is definitely incorporated in many aspects. It's not just physical only, but your mental and spiritual health affect your physical health as well. So I do, my prayers I do every day. I'm very religious as well, so I do my prayers every day. I read my scriptures. I spend time with my family. Those are things that improve my mental and spiritual health, which in turn helps my physical health as well. And so I do take care of my body. I don't smoke or drink or do things like that would be harmful to my body. And so even if I do feel I'm in bad, we'll say, physical shape, but my overall health is still pretty well because of those things.
Great. Well, yeah, and we've spoken about it several times on this podcast here, and that I agree that oftentimes when we say the word health or healthy habits, people are often triggered to think, oh, does this person run marathons? Does this person, go for long bike rides? Which, for some people that is. But the mental health aspect of it, I think, is so important. And I think it's often overlooked. And I think it's often such a game changer. I've spoken about this a few different times, but for me, I was in my early 40s. I may have been just around 40 when I first discovered morning meditation. And it sort of changed my life because I was like, wow, I get my head right, changes everything. Right. And so those things are also so important. And I think we're seeing more awareness these days. And I think we're hearing more people start to talk about, things that you do in the morning. And, for some it's prayer or meditation and those sort of things, just to get your mind right before you start your day and all that. So that's great. Good for you for doing that. And would love to hear also a follow-up of how you make out with your elliptical and your future goals. That W-2, freed up some time for you now, right? So you got a little bit of
Yeah.
time to take care of those things, right? Good. So I want to transition over to final questions. For you, Don, what is your definition of success?
Um, you know, I guess for me personally, it's always been more of that, the time freedom. Being rich and wealthy is great, but that is, in the end meaningless. I don't even though I guess now technically I have some wealth, but I don't necessarily drive new cars or anything like that, or wear high end clothes and that kind of stuff. I don't care about those things. And so for me, having money doesn't really matter if you're not happy. So for me, the time freedom is the biggest thing. If I have the freedom to do what I want when I want, that is for me the biggest mark of success. You can be, we'll say, in these known billionaires that are the world billionaires, but are always busy and kind of seem to have not necessarily a great personal life. That's not what I want. I enjoy being able to spend time with my family and take care of my family and be by their side when needed. So um, for me, definitely time freedom is the biggest mark of success.
Great. And for question number two, so for someone who's new to investing or even learning to focus on their goals and their path to success, do you have a good book recommendation for them?
Yeah, I'll actually give two. I think that there's several for me. I honestly, I've since I got into real estate, I've read probably more books than I ever had in my life prior to that. So I actually enjoy reading about real estate and finance and even taxes. But I'd say two things for kind of more mindset, like I said, for those that are just starting in real estate. Um, One is the Richest Man in Babylon.
Mm.
It's a very short read book, but excellent points in there to understand how money works. And then also, I think Set for Life by Scott Trench from Bigger Pockets. That's a great book for people that are just starting out again to see and understand what can happen through real estate if you make the right smart moves and put things in place to make it happen.
So I haven't read Set for Life yet, so I'm adding that to my list. You probably saw me bend down a little bit so I can write it down. And just to piggyback on your Richest Man in Babylon. So I have a daughter who's 11 years old, and she has The Richest Kid in Babylon. Also,
Yeah,
pretty cool recommendation for the little ones.
yeah,
But Richest
definitely.
Man in Babylon is a great one.
Yeah, yeah. I read the Richest Kid with my son as well. He actually enjoyed it, so I was glad that he liked it. So yeah.
That's great. So before we get into the final question, first I want to thank you for coming on. This has been really educational for me, and I hope others, find the same value in it that I did. How can people reach out to you, and how can we support you?
Well, yeah, you can definitely find me on social media. I'm very active on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. You can find me on our website, happycampercapital.com. You go to the About Us tab, find my name and picture there, and then you can even schedule a call directly from that. So that'd be probably the best way to get a hold of me directly through that, or again through probably LinkedIn.
Okay, great. So final question, if you could think back with me to a young Don around ages,
Mhm.
10 to 12 years old, knowing what you've learned so far on your journey, what are three pieces of advice that you would give to that young Don or any preteen child to help guide them towards success?
Okay. So the interesting thing about me and my childhood, I was always interested in finance and money. So I had a knack for that. But um, I would say for sure is invest early. Yeah, probably things this thing I heard before. Invest early, invest often, and something like that. But yeah, start investing as soon as you can. Whatever it may be, even if it's just stocks. If you've got $100, go buy some stock for $100. Just start putting your money to work and seeing it grow, and then as that grows, that add more to it. Don't let lifestyle creep take you over. So if you have a job and you're living well below your means, which you should be doing anyway, which is another piece of advice: live below your means. But as you get raises and go along, don't all of a sudden now increase your lifestyle. Oh, now I make more, I can go now buy that car or do those other things. Still keep that same low lifestyle, and just use that additional income to invest more and start building more and saving more, so that you can have that future you're looking for to retire sooner than later. Um, and then I guess third, um, enjoy life. Sometimes even myself included, we get caught up on saying I have to do this. I have to, in my case, retire by a certain age. I wanted to, meet that 5-year goal. So I was making a lot of sacrifices on focusing on doing just that and not really doing much else to enjoy the process, I guess. And so I was like, even if instead of taking me 5 years, if it took me 10 years, I'd still be ahead of the game. But I would at least maybe could have enjoyed it a bit better and had more, maybe not be as stressed or overworked to meet those goals. So, so those are things, if I remember what they were. Invest early and don't let lifestyle creep take you over, and then enjoy your time, enjoy life.
Great. Thank you so much. So, make sure you reach out to him, check him out, Don Spafford, Happy Camper Capital. This has been very educational for me. I hope it was for our listeners also. If you're out there listening, you got some value out of this, go out there and make it a great day. Thanks so much for joining me on the Healthy Investor Podcast. Check out the show notes for more information about connecting with our guest. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please head on over to iTunes and leave a positive rating and review. It would mean the world to me. I'm grateful for your support, and I wish you an abundance of success on your journey to healthy investments and a healthy life.